What's up everyone? I thought it was probably about time to tell you a little bit more about our new Bushbaby, which you might have seen me fly back from the pancake flying a few weeks ago. So today I'm actually going to go and practice some spot landings. Next week I am going to take part again in the national landing competition. So at first I didn't want to take part because I thought, it's a new plane, it flies a bit different. I'm just going to embarrass myself. But then I thought that, if I can't even do a spot landing competition, if I get a real engine out, am I going to be able to hit my mark in a field, if it happens for real? So I thought it's a very good excuse to go practice for the spot landing competition and do it. And, even if I embarrass myself, it's just going to make me a better pilot. So we're going to do that in a few minutes. But now, let me just tell you a little bit more about the Bushbaby. So it is a Bushbaby in the light sport aircraft class. So in other words, it's got a max all-up weight of 600 kilograms. Empty weight is a little bit high. I think it's about 320 kilograms or so. But I'll tell you a little bit more why I think it's a little bit heavier. It's got the Rotax ULS 100 horsepower engine in it, and then we've got the E-props propeller. I think it's 185 centimeters, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that's like about 72 or 73 inches. What makes the engine a little bit different than that we would typically find on the Bushbaby is we've got a tuned exhaust, so the pipes are all an equal length to the exhaust, which gives it a little bit of extra performance, maybe 1 or 2 horsepower. But it's not a custom exhaust. It actually comes off, I believe, a sling. And then the other thing is we are not pulling air from inside the cowl like you would normally do. We actually have a knocker duct, so it's pulling cold air from outside, not hot air from inside the cowling. So that also gives it a little bit, maybe 1 or 2 extra horsepower, because cold air is more dense, which means it's more combustible, gives a little bit more power. So because of that, it needs to have the alternate air or carb heat system. So we do have an option to pull carb heat, which allows it to pull hot air from inside rather than from the outside, which you have to have because this can become stuck, or if you fly in the right conditions it can ice up. So you need that alternate air. And then as you can see, we've still got the standard 8.00-6 tires on here. We do have a set of 22-inch, I think, Aero Classics, which we will put on here later. But for now, I think we're just going to fly with the tires that's on here at the moment. On the tail end, we've got the upgraded tail with the balance horns on it, similar to the one the same one we had on India Juliet Charlie. We just don't have the stall fences here, which we didn't for some reason get with the kit, but I don't think it's necessary. This plane stalls pretty slow already, so works pretty fine. And then we replaced the standard tail wheel with this one, which is locally sourced, comes from Wambut. It absorbs quite a lot of shock, which we will obviously test out today with a spot landing practice. Unfortunately it didn't just fit. We had to make it fit. We needed spaces and things like that, which unfortunately makes the tail sit a little bit higher than it needs to be. It's not a crane smash. It does impact your takeoff performance a little bit if you've got less angle of attack, but on the setting where it's not that stiff, the tail comes down enough, so that's probably not going to be an issue. Other than that, I guess it's pretty standard. I'll show you inside now. One big change we made was we made the luggage bay bigger, which is something we usually do, and it's really helpful, especially if we go on adventures that's a weekend or 4 or 5 days long and you go 2 people and you need to take tents and things like that. It's really helpful. So in the cockpit, let me show you the inside. For the instrument panel we went glass, no steam gauges at all. Let me show you. We've got the I'm not actually sure what it is called. I will display the name of the instrument over here, but it's an NGL. You can pretty much see everything that you want to see. It's got GPS, it's got all your engine instruments, it's got synthetic vision, and a lot. I'll leave a list. I don't know everything by heart. So performance figures, if you're wondering about that. So firstly, let's start with the cruise. Because of this longer propeller and it being an E-props, which is very dynamic, almost like a automatic variable pitch, which obviously I might get crucified for saying, but it has some dynamic flex which makes it operate almost like a variable pitch propeller. So we do get about in the cruise see 80, between 85 and 88 knots indicated airspeed. True airspeed is about 100 knots. It's actually quite a lot faster than IJC, the other Bushbaby, which would cruise through probably about maybe 85 knots. But yeah, so this one's a lot faster, but it doesn't really compromise on short takeoff and climb performance. Actually, the E-props are excellent climb performance propellers, probably the best performance propellers without sacrificing any speed. So one up early in the morning, 1000 feet, 1100, we fly at 5000 feet. Density altitude on a day like today is 7000 feet. Later this afternoon it will be about 8000 feet density altitude. So, and then I will see probably at least 800 feet per minute. At sea level you'll probably easily see 1500 feet per minute. How short does it get off the ground? I would say not much shorter than IJC, but maybe a little bit, because of being an E-prop, we do get about 5400 RPM easily in the climb out. So yeah, I'd say on a windless day at this density altitude, we might be able to take off in about 100 meters, which should be about just less than 300 feet. At sea level, with a bit of wind, probably get up in 20 or 30 meters easily. I've taken off in about 30-40 meters at this density altitude with a little bit of help from wind. So it gets up very quick as well. As for landing, I've not really tried to land it as short as possible. We've not yet placed VGs on the wings, which is something I want to do, although it does stop very slow. Less than 30 knots a stall, and the stall is also so docile, it doesn't drop a wing or anything. So yeah, that's obviously going to get even better if we put VGs on the wings, and then sometimes I'll see how short I can land, but it should match what our other Bushbaby IJC is able to do. And that should be pretty much it. I don't think there's anything else, but if there is anything you'd like to know, just leave a comment. Yeah, when we got it, we did have some issues with oil temperature, which is not unusual. In summer it gets up to 35 degrees Celsius here, 30 degrees pretty much every summer day. So it does run a bit hot, but we did make some modifications. Firstly, we made this little flap on the backside of the cowling. We did make it bigger to the side, as well as bigger, made it wider. That helped a lot by itself. We moved the air cooler as far back as possible, and there might be a few other things we did as well without even putting on a different or bigger oil cooler. So, and now it's pretty okay.
Basically, I don't want to go do the landing competition because I wasn't used to this aircraft, and I thought, I would just do bad landings and not do well. And then I thought, if I can't even go do landing competition, what if I have an engine failure for real? And that obviously made me realize that, now is as good a time as any to go practice and make sure that if I have an engine out, I can do glide approaches and hit my mark as accurately as possible.
So the competition I'm practicing for has 4 different landings each competitor has to do. The aim of all is to touch down as close as possible to the line or box. The further you touch down from the line, the more penalty points you accumulate.
And when in line abreast with the markings,
the first landing is a freestyle landing. Second landing is a power off approach, and once power is closed, the pilot has to keep power off until the landing is complete. Third is also a power off approach and landing, but no flaps are allowed. Last one is a freestyle landing, but over an obstacle. Here I'm focusing on configuration number 3, flapless power off landings, which is the most difficult of the lot. At this point I realized I was way short and won't make the field. So I gave power to go around and try again.
Well, that was a horrible fail. I didn't even come close to making it to the field, so I need to make my circuit even tighter.
Now I realize I'm too high and start an aggressive slip. And now I don't have the energy to reach the field safely anymore and decide to go around again. This time I make damn sure I'll make the field. I made the field, but I was still at least 50 meters short of the desired touchdown point.
Okay, lead slips still much later. I'm coming up short just about every single time. No, every single time, actually. Slipping too aggressively, slipping for too long. The rest is gonna be a mission. So let's get a bit more speed and leave the slip till short final. Engine dead.
On this one I approached way too high deliberately.
Okay, I feel like I'm way too high, but I'm not gonna slip. Well, now I'm gonna need to. Oh, again, short. Again. Traffic from Slovenia, left downwind 29, simulated engine out glide approach.
On this one I've had enough. I will not touch down short again.
Minor box traffic, Echo Sierra Romeo, left base 27, touch and go.
So I touched down long, but this I can work with.
Well, that was a little bit better. KFA Bushbaby, 25 approach to 9er, touch and go. Okay. Me. 3, 2, 1, go. Go. Forward out in 3, 2, 1, go.
Alright, back from the spot landing practice, and this plane is just so different than I imagined and so different than IJC in how it glides. First of all, he doesn't glide as well for some reason, which I don't understand. It might be the wind as well, because it's quite windy and quite gusty, and when I turn to base I'm turning upwind, so that obviously affects the distance I'm gliding as well. I think I undershot the first 3 or 4 attempts. You know, it's some of them I thought I was way too high. I slipped, and the slip was just too aggressive, and I came up short and had to just give power to avoid, going into the fence. So that took I think 3 or 4 runs before I got the first one onto the runway. So when I eventually got that, it went better. Most of them was fairly close, but like I'm not ready for the competition, but I'm gonna come practice 1 or 2 more times during the next week before the competition happens, which is next weekend at Brits Airfield. So that difficulty with the spot landings was a bit of an eye-opener or a wake-up call, because I thought if I had an engine out, be able to pretty accurately make my mark in a field, but like it was today, I mean, it took me four attempts before I was even able to make the airfield without having to give power again. So yeah, obviously it just it goes to show how important this is to do things like spot landing competitions, because it just you get to know your plane, and it makes you a safer pilot, because when you do get an engine out for real, you have a much bigger chance of making your field and knowing, you know, when you look around, that field I can make, that field is too far. So yeah, I'm pretty happy I'm actually going to do this. If you have any questions about the airplane itself, let me know, leave a comment, or about the spot landing practice or the competition that's happening next week. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.